Push that button and see what happens. Yeah, it says record now.
Recording.
Okay, all right, we're trying to record for Rita and Marlene so they can see it.
Oh,
Gloria.
how sweet.
Everybody, I don't know where Kathy is. I don't know where other people are.
Calling Nancy to see if she's going to.
And Nancy and Marlene. Nobody else told me they weren't coming other than Rita and
What about Susan?
Susan said she was coming. She sent us that.
Light.
I have to raise my chair.
She sent us.
Gloria, how lovely to see you.
Good to
Yeah.
see you.
You look beautiful.
Thank
Beautiful as
you.
always.
How's it working out for you up there?
Everything is great.
Hey, Nancy,
My
coming
kids
for a
are
meeting?
wonderful. I have lots of support from them and it's, who's that? Your granddaughter?
This is Carly. You want to say hi to my
Oh,
friends?
hi, Carly.
Hi.
Hi.
You want to come say hi too? Will?
Carly, how
Maybe,
old
all
are
right. Well,
you?
you better decide soon. Okay, go.
Okay, Nancy.
Yes, my daughter and her son-in-law and the kids are living with us right now because their house, this is Will.
Hi, Will.
I will.
Hello,
Our house is on the
Will.
market for sale and it's being shown, so they have moved in here.
Okay.
Try to
That's
keep the
nice.
house clean with two little ones. Okay,
Where,
goodbye.
where are they moving to?
Oregon.
Oh.
Oh,
Yeah, Where do your kids live?
5 minutes away.
Oh,
Here's-
that's nice.
oh.
That's
Come
nice.
Where in Oregon?
Sisters, a suburb of Bend.
Gloria,
Yeah.
There's,
Gloria,
she's
We
coming.
can't see you, Susan.
I know, because
Somebody else is in.
I'm out.
Susan, press the video. There you are.
There you are.
Hi, Susan.
I'm sorry,
Hi,
hi.
Susan.
Everything sort of happened at the same time, sorry. You know how that
Did you,
goes.
did you get a computer guy?
I haven't called him yet. I wanted to be clear that what he does is not repair computers, but tutoring.
Tutoring. Oh, I don't know. I guess he could tutor. I mean, he knows
No, that's
everything.
really
about
what
it.
I need him for. It's not,
Okay.
yeah, okay. Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Hello.
Susan.
Susan, when is your surgery?
A week from tomorrow.
Okay.
You're having, what kind of surgery again? Again?
Kathy.
Again,
What kind?
spinal surgery on my neck. It's
Hi,
called
Kathy.
Jeez.
a
Hi.
cervical-
Hi, Kathy.
Where's Kathy?
Right there.
There you go.
I don't get
Wait,
everybody on
I
my
have to get a pillow to sit on.
Sharon, I'm sorry, Sharon, that must be Carly.
That was Carly and Will in the background. They're
I
living
don't
with us
think I
right
got-
now.
I don't think I've met them.
You will.
Will I've met?
Yeah. Yeah, their house is being shown this week. It's on the market. So they moved in while we were in Palm Desert. Yeah. I just got home last
noise.
night. What?
The
Oh.
noise.
Everybody looks so good. Hi, Kathy.
Hello. I almost forgot. I was
Kathy,
lost track of time a couple
so
of minutes
fun
late.
seeing you and Darian back to back.
Yeah, there she is.
Hi, pretty Darian.
Hmm?
Hi. God, you got great hair.
Hi.
Really pretty face too, but your hair is really superb.
Glorious stories.
Guys, I don't know if we're gonna have more than 40 minutes.
We will, but Bonnie, if the time runs out and we
Let's get back on.
connected, we all just sign back in and it'll be fine.
Well,
Okay.
I have to leave by 2 or 10 after. I have a doctor appointment and my son-in-law is taking me. So
You look terrific, Gloria.
thank
She
you.
does.
Good to
Can
see
we
you.
pick up with Gloria and see how you are?
I love Oregon. It's a fabulous
Oh.
state.
Oh,
I miss everybody, but I don't miss California, honestly.
And
uh-huh.
are you in
Ah.
Portland?
No, I'm in Corvallis, which is about
Okay,
an hour and a half from
Right.
Portland. But
Oregon's
my
great.
granddaughter just moved there with my great-grandson, and my
Oh.
grandson lives there too. So we have a nice little
that's wonderful.
enclave.
It's wonderful.
Lovely.
Yeah.
And are you in like a retirement community or is it just?
I'm living in a retirement community. It's
And you
supposed to
like-
be an independent retirement community.
Yeah.
I think I'm taking care of half of the people here.
Well, Gloria, you're
Because they've
very
lost their
independent,
brains.
so- Yeah, well, we all know about that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm hoping that I can keep mine because half of them 10 years younger have lost their brains. I don't,
Oh, how tough, how tough.
Are
it
you-
is.
are
I
you
mean, it
using
really
80?
is. When I say I'm going to be 88 this year, they all go,
Gloria,
Yeah.
What, we'll all go.
Wow.
they can't walk. I'm walking 2 miles a day or if not more.
Really?
that's a perfect segue into this book since it's about depression.
I'm sorry, I didn't read it. I'm reading another book from my daughter's book club.
Oh, we're just so happy to see you.
Yeah, I'm happy to see you too.
But
Yeah.
Gloria,
Really
you can,
miss you.
you
You
can
can
listen.
go
to-
on and I'll just stay here
Yeah,
till I have to leave.
you might even have something to add, even without having read the book.
Yeah,
But
just make something up like we do.
Oh,
Okay, I'm
all right,
here.
so we normally, I'm going to start a little differently. We normally, people talk about whether they like the book or not, but I want to add to that. So I'm going to talk first and then you guys can talk.
Okay.
Usually when I read a book the second time, I like it better. This time I liked it better the first time. After a while, I felt like it was tedious. I started getting
Uh-huh.
tired, especially when she started talking about all these lives without really going into them very much. But I sent you a little thing about the author. And so when he wrote this, I think what he was attempting to do was to talk about depression in an uplifting way without it being too heavy, so that people could see that there are, if you have an imagination, you can imagine another way of how you might live. You can imagine how you could get out of the life that's making you so depressed. That's part of it. And he's had a lot of depression. He's written about that too. So
Very interesting.
what I really want to start with though is, and you can add whether you like the book or not, but why do you think this book is so popular? Why do you think it's on the bestseller list? And his previous book was also very popular, which I read, which is about a man who has this thing that causes him to live for like 800 years.
He aged, I just finished reading it. I read it on
Oh,
vacation.
good,
He
perfectly.
ages at
Slowly.
like 1/15 the speed of other people. Once he got to be around 11 or 12, it took 15 years for him to age a year.
So it was that he ends up living again, similar thing, all these different lives, and finds out that you can only stay someplace for about 8 years before you have to move. So it's kind of interesting. So, and that was also quite a bestseller. So why do you think these books are such terrific sellers?
Well, I just,
Probably.
off the top of my head, it was a quick read. It was nice font. It was easy to move through it. You didn't have to go back and forth and back and forth. You could follow it in a very easy way to read. And then I think it's fascinating because we do have all those choices. I am now reading my own journals because I'm going to work on this spiritual that I've had for 1,000 years. And and it's amazing, absolutely amazing what you think you remember in your life and what you were really happy about, but then what you were really sad about. And that was a lot of depression in there. And I think it's good to read a book that talks about somebody else's depression so you don't feel like you're the only person out there. And then she wanted to kill herself when there's a lot of people that have taken their lives now. And so there's a lot of people that need to read a book like this. Like maybe you seem it's bad, but it can change and you can have some other choice. And I thought it was an important book.
So, and also with that, do you think that the book would have affected you differently at a different time of your life?
Yeah, I mean, I really wish I could have read it in my 20s, my 20s. I think it would have helped me. It would have helped me talk more about different choices and different things, because sometimes you think your only choice is to go to, for myself, for graduate school or no graduate school, or stay at this job at the San Francisco schools, which was horrible, or I should have tried something else, and the feeling of failure, you don't have it, you're insecure, you need money. You make a lot of compromises for security so you can keep the hope, you know, so I don't know. I think it could have been a very good thing.
Anyone else?
I really,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I really enjoyed the book enough that I immediately read another one by him. It reminded me very much of the movie It's a Wonderful Life. The idea of part of it, not all of it, but part of it was discovering when you think your life hasn't served a purpose, discovering the impact you have had on so many other people. You know, so part of it was that wasn't always the case. In the beginning, it was learning from regrets that she had, you know, and then seeing what would have happened if whatever she regretted hadn't come to pass. But, you know, I thought it was a nice way to explore. It's not the heaviest book. I think it's very popular because of the pandemic. I really do. I think people are looking for something lighter and a bit uplifting.
You thought that was a light book?
From what I
Well,
could read
I
in the
mean,
beginning, I didn't
compared to
think it was
the
uplifting.
market being flooded with murder mysteries and things like that, yeah, you know, it's not full of death and shooting and violence. So that's what I should say, not lighter necessarily. That probably was the wrong word. But
Easy read.
Hmm?
It is an easy read.
Yeah,
I
It
mean,
was.
you didn't have to work at it too hard. Yeah.
Well, I had to work at it hard to pick it up and read it each time. I had a real hard time with that because it was so tedious, all these lives, and it didn't, I don't even remember some of them. But I didn't feel like it was real well developed, all these lives. The one thing I did get out of it, I thought about this, about regrets. I mean, we all have regrets, and I do too. And it made me question some of the regrets that I have. It really made me think about that. When I first read it, after she went into the Midnight Library, I thought, oh my gosh, this is another Harry Potter book. You know, how he goes onto the platform and he immediately goes into, you know, wherever he goes into that land. And the other thing it reminded me of was The Wizard of Oz, you know, Toto. There's no place like home, because that's what happened at the end, right? She appreciated her home, and she appreciated her life at the end.
Yeah, but the beginning about, you know, this is so many hours before she dies. I mean, you know, it's a grip
Mhm.
when that opening line was just, you know, everybody wishes they could start a book that grabs you like that.
What was the opening line?
19 years before she decided to die. You know
Yeah.
that she's going to die, and you're thinking, well, is anything going to save her through the whole book? Anything at all?
I really liked that beginning, you know, 27 years before, 27 hours before, 9.5
Right.
hours before. I really liked that.
Me too.
I thought it grabbed you.
you know what was that what you liked about it, that you felt it grabbed you? I'm just curious. I'm not criticizing, I'm not defending, I'm just curious.
In the beginning,
But the whole sequence of sort of repetition of that.
it didn't all grab me. I don't think,
No, but that piece did.
yeah,
I'm asking, do you know what it was about it? Who knows?
not so introspective. Yeah.
I like the idea, I just like books that are like, there was a movie about somebody that had parallel lives. But it's just sort of like science fiction kind of stuff that interests me. And I like books like that. But, you know, this was just a means to go through the whole idea of the things that we regret. How could we do things differently so our lives, you know, and today it was funny. I didn't think about it until today, but I thought, I guess it's not important, but I thought, what would have happened if we stayed in one of those lives? It would be like killing one of those people.
Ah,
What do
I
you
have-
mean killing? What do you mean killing one of those
I'll be
people?
right back.
The life I liked the best was the one where she marries, what is it?
Ash.
Lev?
Ash.
Ash, and has the daughter, and but she had no memories of all of it, which is why I think she left it. Not that she didn't like that life, but
So she wanted to keep that life. She didn't want.
Couldn't stay there. That wasn't
Well,
part-
in her life, at the end, she goes back to her life, and Ash is in that life.
well, we don't really
Right, and
know.
it leaves it
You
up
don't know
in
what
the air
happens,
whether,
but he's there.
yeah, will it happen in real time is the question. I like the fact that she didn't stay because it would have been too flat an ending or too pat an ending that way. It would have worked out too nicely. So I kind of liked that it left it up in the air at the end.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And
You
I-
just wish that somebody that actually has some issues that they would actually read this book. That was the problem. Is at the end, I was really hoping that there was somebody that would be picking this book up and is going to make them realize that one thing that they need to know, that they need to just realize they don't know what tomorrow's going to bring and go forward with it. Yeah, that gives you that little bit of hope at the end of the book, but I wonder if those people would ever pick that book up.
It was interesting that she was talking about root lives, and then she talked about the branches, the twigs, and where they were
A
going
lot
to
of tree references. Look at the
Yeah.
names.
Name Nora Seed.
This is Elm.
Very good, Sharon.
Nora
Yeah.
Seed.
Elm.
Yeah, her name was Nora Seed, and it was
Right.
Mrs. Elm, and a lot of
Right.
tree references.
Never
Very
clicked for me. They're
nature oriented.
fascinating. Thank you.
And I think that is true. It's like the path not taken, or we hear this. I think there are a lot of ideas we've gotten from so many other books, or from philosophers, or Buddhism, or the whole thing about compassion and listening. It's a repetition, I think, in another twist of an idea, which we hear all the time. So I don't think there was a lot of new things in there, but every now and then, and I don't think his writing was fabulous, but there were little things, little pearls. He said something about, I mean, and obvious, but it was interesting to read them, like, no predicting every outcome. You can't, after you make a decision, you still can't predict what's going to happen. And I thought that was something interesting he talked about. And the other was, if there's no relationship, you're not going to have any stress. If there's no work, you don't have stress. If you're, if no money, then there's no stress. But there's a healthy stress from all these, which I think she had to learn to figure out what to do. And I think through those stresses is where you learn about yourself, and it's usually within a relationship. But yeah, I found the book, I wasn't overwhelmed, but I think there was a lot of food for thought in it.
I want to read one comment that I think Mrs. Elm, the librarian, made. She said, "We just have to close our eyes and savor the taste of the drink in front of us and listen to the song as it plays. So you live your life in the present and not have regrets and don't think about the past. And the present is the most important part. The now."
Right, regret is huge, and I have one also. Where it's not the lives I'm sorry. It is not the lives we regret not living that are the real problem. It's the regret itself. It's the regret that makes us
Yeah.
shrivel and wither and feel like our own and other people's worst enemy.
Well, she wanted to please other people too. She wasn't just living to do what she wanted to do.
Yeah,
So that was
her
part of
family, her brother, her mother.
I have two thoughts. I mean, it's nature versus nurture in terms of all of us and how we live our lives. I was overwhelmed by the emptiness, the shallowness of her family life and lack of really nurturance, and how that would affect her. And because I'm geared to think that way about people's backgrounds, etc., I was very struck by that. I did feel like it was an interesting thought about confronting your regrets, your big ones,
Mhm.
and understanding that at the time you probably made the best choice that you could, that it all looks different in hindsight with woulda, coulda, shoulda. And then I haven't really shared this with most of you, but I've had personal experience with clinical depression. And I'm the 4th generation of my family, and it's very widespread. And so it's deeply entrenched in my DNA. And I just felt like when you're really, really low, you cannot see any options. It just, you are really stuck. And it feels very foreign. And so I thought it was an interesting idea to kind of reopen your attitude. I'll give you an example.
Excuse me, sorry.
The surgery I'm going to have requires me to wear a plastic brace for 6 weeks that will cup my chin and sit on my shoulders. And I can't wash my hair, and I can't really take a shower. And so I have the brace at home because I have to bring it into surgery. And I had a very hostile relationship with the brace. I did. I was really like, this, and then, you know, I thought about other people, other chronic conditions, just a lot of other things. And so with a lot of therapy that I've had, I'm able to use cognitive therapy and sort of say to my mind, hey, is this the way you want to keep thinking? Or can I make a change? And it's very conscious. And I have a young friend who's 16 that a year from now, she's going to have her jaw wired for 6 weeks. And so it was like, honey, just get over the brace. It's just, yes, I'll look older. Yes, my hair will look like shit, but just it deal with it. And it's just life. And again, thinking of how many severe situations people have that they have to come to terms with. And we're all aging. And so, you know, you look in the mirror and it was like, who is that older person I'm looking at? When did this happen? And somebody was talking to me about when FaceTime inadvertently shows up, she thinks, who is that old hag on the phone? So anyhow, I would say depression is so much more complex, but I really do believe that you can change your thinking. And that part was very striking to me. It's like when you look and look and look for something and you can't find it. And literally, when you just change your perspective, if you like bend down a little this way or go that way, there it is. That's sometimes what life really requires that you do, is look at life from both sides now.
But Susan, you're right. I mean, clinical depression, you know, depression, obviously there's a spectrum of how, you know, seriously depressed, mildly
Well,
depressed.
when you're really intent on suicide, that's pretty depressed.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
She just saw no value to herself, to her life. And again, looking back at that family she grew up with, I could get it.
There's no charge on my.
So let's see if you went to the Midnight Library, would you be interested in having any experiences with living any of your lives if you'd made
Good
different choices?
question.
Oh, I would have tried it in heart.
Well, you're so ethereal.
I know. And I think that would be exciting. I mean, I don't know that I would have chosen it over my life now when I got married and had children, but for 10 years when everybody else was getting married and having children and doing all that stuff, I was just traveling, meeting people, trying to figure things out, job after job after job, so many changes. So there was people along the way. I'm sure that Bonnie feels the same way. You could have stopped and said, okay, with that person, but you didn't, and you went on. So I just know that it would have been fun to see.
I don't know if I'd want to live it. I might like to watch it. Not sure I'd want to go through some of the things that might not be, you know, really fun.
Life is a voyeur.
Yeah, that is true.
I think it'll
Or-
be really fun. If you could think of it as fun, what they say, it's depressed when you lack stimulation. I think that was something that they said in here. And I mean, I don't know if I can go in the part of depression, but I think it's fun. Bonnie, just think if we replayed some of our lives and took them to a different spot. I mean, who knows where we would all be if we did that? We could be in Texas. We could be living, I don't know,
No,
Ohio. Who
No,
knows?
no,
I think it'd be something fun.
none of us would be.
Not-
It
Yeah.
does say that even a small change is really a big change.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But-
yeah.
No, what,
Day or didn't pick up the phone. I think it'd be fascinating. If I could relive the ones I wanted.
oh, we have just gotten, let's see, here's a gift from Zoom. We have removed the 40-minute time limit.
Nice.
There you go.
Next group meeting. Well, let's see what happens.
It'll just keep going.
Yeah,
Wow.
if we're cut off, we'll get back on.
I think they want
So, all right, Barb, go ahead.
whole thing about depression, being a lack of activity, or people say, if you're depressed or things are hard, go outside and look at the trees and look at the sky and listen to the birds. And I think if you have to take to your bed, which is a terrible place of depression, which actually happens, I know, if you can, get out and see there's a bigger world than you. And I think in some places they talked about that here. I thought it was amazing how accomplished she was in so many areas, and
yeah.
all turned out in her life to be negative in her mind. I was sort of surprised at that.
I thought it would be nice if she incorporated some of the things into her life that she found she had enjoyed, like swimming, but maybe not as a professional swimmer, or, but to enjoy swimming, to write music without becoming popular, but to just continue.
Once you're,
It's so weird, you're frozen, but your voice is coming through. Are you there, Bonnie?
I'm here.
I'm here.
I'm here. Who else? Who's
You're
frozen? Everybody's frozen?
No, you're breaking.
It's Barbara's breaking up for me. I'm not
I'm
hearing.
not-
I can't hear Barbara.
You
I
cannot,
can't hear you. Yeah, you're breaking up.
you're the issue.
everybody frozen, and I don't hear, I do hear talking when you talk.
It's your end. It's at your end.
Or you're front.
End.
Wow.
It's you.
It's you.
It's every-
It's your machine.
Are the rest of you seeing each other moving?
Yeah, did you
What
just
I
see?
missed.
Well, you just froze again.
No, we're not. See?
We're not.
We're not-
Why
Your
don't-
head-
I don't know what you said.
It's your connection.
I'll text her.
It's your connection.
Somebody else talk.
Thank
I
you,
can see you moving now, but
I don't know. I guess I wanted to think this book could help like me or someone else, but when my best friend went through all the depression and went from one mental institution to the next,
Yeah.
nothing changed, and I stayed with her for 45 years, going from one place to another. She never took her life. And
Oh,
she
that's just awful
all
though.
that, and a lot of it was, I always thought was from an accident to her spine. And then
Mm.
progressed and progressed and progressed, and they never would really look at that particular area. And so I have regrets. If I ever knew I could have done something more than I did, I would have loved it, because the depression was so bad, and they just choose to give people drugs. I know men, they don't give as many drugs to as women, but women, they have
Really?
dumping a lot of drugs on women. So
Huh.
I guess this book seems positive because they didn't give her drugs and they didn't, she
I
didn't.
have a different take on that, but it's my personal opinion.
Let me, what do you think?
I would say absolutely say yes to drugs. It's like a tool in the toolbox that you just are missing. Things just aren't connecting the way you want them to.
Do you think the drugs are accurate now? I mean, it was horrible for her. Do you think they're much better now?
Well, years and years and years ago, they didn't have really sophisticated antidepressants. I mean, my dad was on Stelazine and Thorazine, and those are for people who are psychotic, and he was
Right.
not psychotic. So It's become much more
Right,
sophisticated.
if it's a chemical imbalance and it can be fixed.
Is, and when I talk with people who are really struggling with depression and really struggling with, I don't want to be dependent on pills, I really talk from the heart as to, it may work for you, it may not, but
Try it.
it's really hard not to see it as some flaw that you have. And if you just did a little bit better or did this a little bit differently, why you could just, but you need that extra tool. And that's exactly the way I look at it.
Mm.
So
Good. I'm
And
glad that you think.
You're
these
right.
are-
I think, ends like in your friend's case, Bonnie, that may have just been, they either didn't find the right thing, or I know my grandmother, and this goes way back, she had those things they used to do that they would do when people were
shock treatment,
shock treatments. She had that a couple of
Yeah.
times.
it was stylish.
Seemed to help, but you know, I don't, but I had a neighbor who, when she retired, she became clinically depressed. And it was due to the retirement, and she couldn't get off her couch. And when I was talking to her about it, I said, you know, I think you're depressed. I think you need to get some help. And she did, and the medication made a huge difference. So
Oh, isn't that nice? I
It-
love that.
It's like,
Where
it
the,
enables you to take other steps. Whereas when you're really stuck, you're really stuck. And I feel the medication is freeing to start taking steps. And really that's what this story is about, that she through her own way was enlightened, if you will, and could see her life and herself differently. And I think self-esteem and self-image, as well as biochemistry, I am a huge believer in biochemistry and mental illness. So,
well, my sister-in-law suffers from extreme depression and panic attacks and severe anxiety. And when she gets stuck, it could be for 6 months, and she has to be taken care of by her family. And she had been going to a psychiatrist for years who helps her. She gets out of it. She's okay for a year or two and then lapses into it. So last time it was 9 months. And so now they're treating her with magnets. And she's just finishing that therapy. She went for 6 weeks for like 4 hours a day for 6 weeks. And there's some improvement, but I don't know. The next step I suggested to her was Johns Hopkins is doing some experimental work with psilocybin mushrooms, magic mushrooms.
oh yeah.
And they do it all over the United States. Some doctors are trained with it, and they have had a lot of success with reorganizing the brain or structuring the brain or doing something to the brain so that a lot of the patients no longer permanently have anxiety or attacks, panic attacks.
wow.
So there's lots of things going on out there.
Yeah, my family does have panic attacks, and I didn't realize that. And I didn't realize cousins have contacted me and said, anybody in your family has it? It's in our family, it's in here. And 3 brothers, not the 4th brother, but 3 of them take the anxiety, and their children take the anxiety pill.
Wow.
And Sean has an attack, and it's always been asthma. You know, he has taken all those steroids for the asthma. And then he had one attack when we were in the East Bay, and we had to go to the hospital. He thought he was having a heart attack. And that's a different kind of a thing than like this book. You know,
Yeah.
serious anxiety, but the other one, you don't function, you don't do the regular thing.
Mhm, mhm.
And it's so hard.
Can I say something?
Please.
I think there's a difference between having anxiety because of an outside thing that has come in
And make
to
sure.
you than it is to be clinically or having
Anxiety
something in
disorder.
your brain that's missing that's causing you. There's 2 different kinds of depression.
Yes.
Because when I first moved here, I was not a happy camper, and I was a little depressed. but I could get myself out of it by going out and looking at the trees and taking a walk. And so, and then I had a very bad accident, and I ran into a ramp and it went right into my leg. And for 8 months, I couldn't shower. I had to go 3 times a week to
Oh, my
wound
God.
care.
Oh,
I had this thing all over my leg, covering my leg, and stitches and all kinds of stuff. And that really depressed me. Then I got all broken out in a whole big bunch of rashes from a medication I was given. And so I really was in bad shape. But every day I made myself go out and take a walk. So that's not the kind of depression that you're talking of, where
No.
you can't do anything. Nothing helps. This
Where you
helped
can't
me
function.
to get out and to talk to my kids and to talk to a psychologist and get some support. And I finally got over it, but it was 8 months before I could take a shower without putting a bag on.
Oh,
Lori,
And the first time I took a shower where I could shower my whole body, I stood in the shower and cried.
I bet.
Happiness, not,
Years
Not
of
Gloria,
joy.
was
but I
this
think
during
that's a
Wow.
different kind of depression.
Yeah.
But Gloria, was this also during COVID?
Yes,
So
Yes,
that's another way.
everything happened at once.
oh,
Wow.
oh,
And the move here, and I didn't like where I was living, and I was unhappy. I was just an unhappy camper. And I drove my kids crazy, although they were very supportive and they came over and talked to me. And I did speak with a psychologist, but I got out of it after a while. So that's not the kind of depression that Susan's talking of or Bonnie's talking of. That's a depression that comes from something in your
Right.
brain
like
that's
a
not.
right. You had like a circumstantial one. Life was happening and
exactly.
these awful
Exactly.
experiences.
And my
you
doctor
reacted
said,
normally.
no, I won't give you any medication. I refuse to give you any medication. You can talk to a psychologist. I'll talk, but I won't give you any medication. I didn't really want it. I didn't really want to take it.
Well,
So-
one of the things I continue to see, and I really see in you, Glory, and many of us, is adaptivity and I think resilience.
She's
is
so
Yes.
strong.
Most
Oh,
important.
I have to go. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
damn.
I'm looking
Oh,
at
God
the
bless.
time.
Bye,
God
Gloria.
bless you. Come back
Bye,
again.
Gloria.
Come and
Right,
visit
how
us
do-
again, Gloria.
So
How do
good
I
to
get
have
out of
you
this now?
Just click leave meeting.
at the bottom right.
See you in a month.
Oh, here we are.
It's
Okay.
red.
Bye, Gloria. Thank you.
Bye, bye,
Bye, it was
Gloria.
wonderful
It's
to
good to see
see
you.
you. Bye.
Bye, it's good to see
She
you.
looks fabulous.
At our more
Where?
mature stages of lives, would any of you see yourselves now taking new avenues?
Gloria, she did it.
Well, she
Yeah.
had a very hard time at the beginning because she didn't know anybody there. And a lot of people were older. They were sick. They weren't as active as she is. And she couldn't find
Yeah.
anybody to walk with.
It's very
she's-
hard. I had that,
it's
my
hard.
mother, same thing.
Yeah,
And now
yeah.
my mother's the old one, but when she came to her assisted living facility, she used to sit in her room and cry.
Oh,
It was awful. But it's hard to make changes the older you get. I mean, my friends are all asking me now, am I going to move to Oregon?
Oh,
oh. Oh.
And I wouldn't be alone. I have a husband, but no, I'm
Yeah.
not ready to. My life is here. I'm not
So
ready.
they think you're gonna move to Oregon because your kids are going to Oregon.
Right, exactly.
Some
And
people
then
do
what
that.
do I have in Oregon? I
Right.
have them. And Will
I
and
have to-
Carly are going to grow up and have no interest in me in a couple of years.
I-
No, it's true. They're going to reach that point. It's not going to be that they're going to want to climb into my bed in the morning and cuddle like it's happening now. It's not going to go on.
They do
I have a
grow up
funny
with
story
great
to tell.
Karen, I was just watching your, is that your daughter?
Mm.
I was just watching her doing the big pickup in the room behind you, and I had to, I just saw myself in her role so many times. I thought,
Ah,
just
doing
picking- that was
She,
hilarious.
yeah, there's an arrow bed on the floor here.
Mhm.
And she was picking up and putting laundry away and,
Yeah.
yeah,
what do you think?
missing. Barbara, you're breaking up again. We didn't hear you.
Am I too far away? Is that better if I'm closer?
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah.
It's good.
maybe.
Anyway, it was fun to watch her coming in and out, doing the
So,
the month.
do any of you think, now, I mean, Sharon just talked about what she would consider, but has at this point chosen not to do. Would you see yourself going in a different direction? I mean, I think I feel
You
pretty
mean now? You mean at this
Yeah,
point?
now. Yeah,
I have friends that that did move to where their kids moved into Arizona.
yes,
And it's good because they for them it worked out because the kids stayed there, they stayed nearby, but they were able to, you know, they were able to be there, and to them it was the most important thing.
Right.
But you know, it's really hard because sometimes
Very hard.
people move, and then the next thing you know, the kids move to somewhere else.
Right.
and you have to keep readjusting your life.
Right. We were just in Palm Desert for a week. We drove. It was wonderful to go somewhere and be somewhere different. And I visited a woman who's in one of my Maj groups. They had bought a house in Palm Desert a few years ago. And every time we've ever gone down, they've never been there when we've been there. And this time they were. So we went over and sat on her patio, and they love it. I mean, they've made this life. And she was telling me all the things she's gotten involved in, and they play pickleball, and she's plays mahjong, and she plays bridge, and she joined this committee and that
Oh,
committee.
that's good.
And she is so busy and so happy. And, you know, that's amazing. It was, you know, and this is what my daughter keeps telling my son-in-law. They keep telling us that we should move to Palm Desert. We should sell our house, move to Palm Desert, and then come and live with them in the summers when it's too hot. Come and stay with them for 2-3 months.
Palm Desert is
Oh, that
beautiful.
sounds
Palm Springs
great.
is beautiful.
But I don't want to deal with it now. Besides,
you know-
Jeffrey still works part-time. He teaches, and he's not ready to stop. He loves it. So,
Well,
not
my
now.
cousin got a retirement place here, you know, off Smith Ranch Road, and she has a place in Palm Desert. And so she's down there, whatever, and then she
Yeah.
comes back here.
You know, maybe it will
Go
happen.
home in
It's not
San
right for me
Rafael.
now, though. Not
No,
now.
but she's close to 80 now, and that's a big difference. Another 10, 15, you know, 10 years makes a difference, you know.
we've all really seen in the past year how essential community and socializing is
Right.
to all of us, whatever our circumstance. And it's very hard when it's kind of gone.
You know, I think sometimes about if I had enough money, because I couldn't do it otherwise, moving someplace right in Marin even, where it's one level.
Yeah,
I hear about that.
Okay, but
I'd go for that.
I don't know if I would want to go through the whole thing of actually moving.
Right.
And also, I love living here. I know a lot of people here. I love, you know, my neighbors in my cul-de-sac. It just seems like it was easier to do when I was younger.
Right. I think you're right, Bonnie.
And I used to visit a woman who was 90, because I was volunteering to visit people that couldn't leave the house. And her family eventually took her to a nursing home down in San Luis Obispo. But she said, if you're going to do so, if you're going to move, you got to do it earlier, she said. She wouldn't have done it, but she ended up at Smith Ranch because she had fallen and she couldn't be at home anymore. Otherwise, she said, you know, you have to do it sooner. If you wait too long, it becomes too difficult. So then, you know, then you have the conundrum, you know, like at what point, I think it's too difficult. So, and then
No, I think, Bonnie, you could go anywhere and you'd make friends and you'd be interesting and you'd be involved. I don't think that's.
I would through my tennis and pickleball and, you know, whatever, join a book group. I know I would, but You know, I went up to Lincoln and looked at the active adult community at Lincoln a number of years ago, and that was a place, I could do that.
Where's Lincoln?
Lincoln is outside Sacramento, and they
Oh,
have
yeah.
a wonderful Del Webb active adult community,
I have a neighbor who moved there.
all kinds of
He
things.
loves it.
I don't know, I kind of like living here.
Yeah,
So
we
it's a
don't
good
have,
one.
we don't
it's
have
a
a
good-
retirement place quite like that, but more active, you know.
It's an active adult community.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah, my cousin bought in Arizona and a Del Webb
Right.
one.
it is a doubt. It's
left-
doubt, right?
She
The Del
left Northridge, which is pretty hot, the weather, and she didn't think it was that big of a change to go to, you know, Arizona. She didn't think it was that big of a change because the hot is hot down there, hot is hot there. You just don't go out in certain times, but
Yeah. So,
the social life.
So it seems like in terms of like big transitions, like moving, nobody has said, oh, I would really be up for it. Maybe I missed, maybe somebody who feels that way didn't speak up about it. But I do agree, as we get older, it's harder to make changes. I think the idea of opportunities and having a different perspective, that was really intriguing. I think I like that the most. And then I found, unlike some of you, I really wanted her to stay with Ash and her little girl. And I felt frustrated that it did have a resolution, but it wasn't like a solid, this is where she ended up. And I kind of I liked that situation for her and how happy she was. And I was really disappointed that it fell through. I loved the depiction of Mrs. Elm. She just is that special person that many of us have had in our lives at a various point.
Did
she
anybody,
was there. Mrs. Elm was there because that was her librarian, and that was the one that was so nice to her before she went into the Midnight Library. So
Right.
that was interesting. But what was I going to say about? I forget. I'll
Did
come
any-
back to it.
did anybody think the whole thing was a dream?
No.
No, I didn't think it
I
was.
mean,
a
it
dream.
wasn't. It's obvious that it wasn't, but
Yeah.
I think there's
Oh,
proof.
and you don't know, she might have gotten together with Ash later on. You know, he was out there in that
Yeah.
life.
And maybe
You
she'll
know-
appreciate him now. And
Yes,
maybe
she had a totally different life ahead of her.
Yeah. I think so.
They got
I think so.
Up having that child or someone similar, you don't know. We just don't
Yeah.
know. It wouldn't
And
be
you
the
know,
exact.
I don't think I could live in a different area because of my friends. My friends are really important to me. And I think I think that's what happened with Gloria too. She has her family there. And now she has one friend she walks with. But I think it would be so hard. Yes.
So, you know, because I know some of you, Gail, do you ever think what your life would have been like if you had married Michael? Or
Yes.
not married Donald, or
Yes. Yes, I think about that. And
is
I'm
that,
not going to regret it anymore.
okay.
Uh-huh.
And Barbara, what was his name? The pianist? What was his name?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, if I had done this or that, or where would I end up, and knowing what their
Yeah.
lives, and would it have been that way for me? I do think about that. Or, you know,
Of
moving to
course.
California, or staying in Chicago, or you know, getting a master's in something else. Or it's really sort of fascinating to think. But in thinking about it, I think it also makes you go back and look at the whole adventure, the whole journey. And while we think we haven't done much, and it's like, oh, it's just sort of, yeah, in reality, there's a lot of highs in life and a lot of different paths we've taken. But somehow at this point, we look back and say it's our grandchildren, it's our friends. But we did have a past, and we do have a past, which
Right.
is all of who we are. So,
But I think you've captured the book, the whole essence of the book right there.
right.
For me, the one regret I've always had doesn't have anything to do with a man. I was in college and I was offered the chance to study for a semester in Paris.
Mm.
And my father had just died, and my sister was off in Peru,
Oh,
and I couldn't leave my mother alone. And so I
Wow.
didn't go. And I think, how would my life have been different if I had been able to study in Paris? Who knows who I would have met there, what I would have done,
So that would be an interesting thing if you could get into the Midnight Library or something like that to see that life.
That's the one
But
I've
if-
always worried.
But if you left your mother while she was sick and you went to Paris, you would never forgive yourself. You made the right choice.
It's my life right now.
Yeah, well, the only, it is a good question, is there any, there might be lots of things, but I've been asked it before. The only thing I used to say that I regretted was going to the University of Miami. I did not want to go there. I wanted to go to a different school.
Bonnie, Wittenberg, is that Mel behind you looking to see if you're done? He was looking in the window behind you.
Oh, whatever.
I didn't hear me, yeah.
What school did you want to go to, Bonnie?
Well, I wanted to go to either University of Pennsylvania, which I might not have gotten into, or Florida State in Gainesville, which I did get into. And my mother had a fit. She didn't want her only child going that far away from home. They pretty much forced me through making me feel guilty to stay, but I insisted on living in the dorm.
Mhm.
So,
Good.
but it was such a huge school. I just thought I would have had a better experience at a smaller school. And yet, who knows what would have happened in my life if I, like you said, Barb, if I'd gone somewhere else, it would have, my whole life would have changed, as yours would have, Sharon. So
Yeah.
you
I
just
never
don't know.
got to go away to college.
And I feel
It's
like,
not an option for us. I had to go to commuter college.
so the question is, how much of our lives do we create and how much happens to us?
Right.
it's a
It's
good question. And
Well, isn't it both?
Ah, shoot.
Sometimes people don't think they have choices.
Right.
Well, that's true. And sometimes, as Sharon is pointing out, sometimes, she did in some way have a choice, yes and no. Would she have enjoyed being in Paris and getting calls from her bad mother every other day? But there is, I think I for myself, I feel like as I've matured and gotten older, I've made peace with the regrets that I have. At the time, I feel like I did the best I could. And I think, I think it's really hard to live. I think it would be, for me, very immobilizing to just live with
Regrets, yeah.
regrets. Yeah, I think you got to move on.
That was her
Remember
problem.
that book was so heavy of regrets? Remember, she could hardly hold the book. It was so heavy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was good.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
did with
I like
regrets.
the book. I
I
really
didn't think so much.
recommend
Whoops.
that you read this other book that Bonnie referenced. Bonnie, what was the name? Do you remember?
Oh,
I just
God.
read it. You think I would know? I just,
Do. I'll have to find it on my, I'll look.
yeah, I'll look too.
I can,
And
Fine.
like one of you said, that it got a little tedious after a while. That one did too. But at the same time, I liked it and I thought it had some interesting points. He's a nice writer. It's,
I'm looking for,
here it is, How to Stop Time.
Oh, that's it. How to Stop Time. Okay.
He had so many characters. He had so many characters in it. I would have loved to have had more character development.
Yeah.
Well,
Cross.
I mean,
Like Hugo.
I would have,
you
yeah,
go, yeah.
care about more of the characters. I wanted to really feel them, and I was disappointed that didn't happen. But then we'd have another couple.
You'd have to have fewer people to have more character development. But
Yeah,
Hugo,
so-
look at him. He wanted to keep doing that. He was perfectly happy to just keep jumping from one life to another.
No.
He couldn't commit.
We know people like that.
It's,
Okay, now I remember who he was.
He kept
I
on
wasn't
going.
sure who it is. Has anybody read Dear Selma, a World War II love letter romance?
Never heard.
no.
author is local, and he's maybe in his 90s now. And it's my neighbor's father, and she gave me this book. I haven't read the whole thing, but the gist was if she would give us all the book,
Okay.
anything, but he would be there to talk about his experience in World War II. And
That'd be
I
great.
thought, I wonder if you want to do something that's just someone who's local, you know.
That's great.
So
That
you
sounds
send it to-
wonderful.
I don't know if this book is
Okay.
worth anything. And so I have,
Maybe you should finish it first.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'll read it.
Yeah.
But if it's sort of okay, I thought it would be fun to recognize somebody from World War II who wrote the letters. No longer is her mother alive, but the father is.
Mhm.
She did that with her dad to help her publish this book. And I thought that was pretty incredible. So it's Bernard and Selma were childhood friends. Both their families were Jewish immigrants living in Portland, Oregon. And after high school in 1943, he was drafted in the Army. He was accepted for the Army Specialized Training Program and sent to Oklahoma A&M College to study engineering. Then it goes on and on. His unit helped liberate Dachau.
Oh, I don't,
Oh,
Bernard
well,
continued their
that-
love story and married after the war. They were together for 72 wonderful years,
Wow.
3 children, and he became a successful optometrist with a private practice in Salem, Oregon. For more than 50 years. He lives in Portland on the South Waterfront within view of his childhood home and neighborhood.
Oh,
That was kind of different. Anyway, that's a possibility. I don't know if that would be anything that, you know, we do.
Read it. Read it and see what you,
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, finish the book and see if you like it, and then
And Bonnie
we can go from
Mandel,
there.
you could just skip the whole Dachau.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
I'd
you
like to
Well, it
skip.
might not be in the book. I mean, it might be his experience, but I don't know if it's the whole thing. It's the love letters, the close.
It's gotta be in the book. I mean, some reference to that.
I
would-
will,
But I
okay.
know that as we were talking about this book, it occurred to me, I think all of us, I would say, do enjoy character development. I mean, it's part of our pleasure of reading is kind of
yeah.
getting to know the people. Yeah?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Which is why Barbara didn't, yeah.
Have you ever read this book? It's an old book.
No, but I loved it at the
Picture
time.
the
What is-
novel.
Commissioner.
The what? I can't see it. The
The
what?
I
novel.
read that one.
It takes place in the Dutch community in Pennsylvania.
Uh-huh.
The writer, and he's trying to
The Amish.
the Amish, but he doesn't
Mhm.
want them to be ridiculed.
But
And
how long is that? That's gotta be long. All his books
Oh,
are,
all of Commissioner's books are like 1,000 pages.
Yeah.
But
well
they're
long.
so
no,
good.
this is
But if it's-
433.
Oh, that's short for him.
If it's a good read, it doesn't matter quite as much. By the
Commissioner's
way,
short story.
did any of you who did watch and enjoy Hamilton say, I am gonna read the Ron Chernow book now? Did
No.
any of you read it?
No,
No, I just couldn't. Yeah, okay. Couldn't do it.
that's
Has
like,
anybody read something that they like?
What was the question?
Any book that you jumps out at you that, you know, we might have missed it? I'm always
So
reading.
we have what? We have one for next month, right?
Monogamy is.
That's monogamy.
Looks like
Let's
it's
read
got
it.
really good reviews, and
That's
everybody, it had been on sale at Amazon. I sent you.
Right, you
Of
keep.
course, I get more for mine. I always do.
Monogamous?
I called the library, and monogamy, there are 60 people on the list, and they have 25 books for
Oh.
monogamy.
well, you might
So-
have to buy.
Forget the
Well,
library.
check Amazon. I mean, Amazon had been selling it cheap, but
Oh, really?
oh, you know
Monogamy?
what I read? I listened
Who's
to
the author?
you.
I think that we should, if we want to get a book or whatever, maybe go next door. I thought everybody probably has piles of books, just like I do. And I wish someone would say, oh, does anybody have that book? And I would say, yeah, I have, you want. I think maybe next door should be a good source for books.
That's a good idea.
That's an interesting idea.
Oh, look at.
Very
Who's the
good.
author? Who's the author?
Of what?
Monogamy.
Sue Miller. Sue
Miller?
Miller. Mhm.
We're gonna send it to
Sue?
them.
Sue
S-U-
Miller, S-U-E, Sue
Okay.
Miller.
I did
Okay.
read a very good book. It's not, I don't even think it's out in paperback, called, it was one that Elaine Petrocelli had recommended at one of her book talks, Migrations. It sounded to me so awful from the description, and it turned out to be really good.
Is it a? is it
So when it becomes more available, that might be something to consider. And you know what I listened to? That was just, it was, you'll understand when I tell you, the perfect walking companion. Oh, Susan, I think I told you.
What?
Matthew McConaughey's book.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I was reading
you
it a
loved
couple of weeks
it.
ago. It was so much fun to go walking and have Matthew McConaughey talking to me. It wasn't a bad book at all. It's not one I'd recommend for book club, but you know, if you're looking for something, it's not a bad book.
Do
For
you,
your earphones.
did
Good
you
earphone book.
like him as an actor?
Do I like him as
Oh.
an actor?
Did you before you read his
Oh,
story?
yeah. I mean, I don't like
He's a great
everything he's in. I'm not into, you know, certain movies, but yeah. Yeah, I like Matthew McConaughey.
I
Yeah.
do too. He's good.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. I do have to leave, and which means I have to stop recording. I have to take. my-
I have an hour. That's plenty.
Yeah.
I said recorded an hour.
Also, I recommend on Netflix,
Ah,
Somebody Feed Phil. It is
Say
the
that
most
again?
fun.
Yeah.
Somebody Feed Phil. And he
But-
travels to all these locations. And so it's maybe about an hour. And at the end, he talks to his father and mother that are stuck in New York. And the father tries to tell a joke, and of course it never goes. But he goes tasting food. You cannot believe this. And then you go to Saigon, you go to Vietnam, you go to
oh my goodness.
you go to New York, you know, and what it is it's great background. And then all this gourmet food, which I would never try any of that stuff. But after I've been watching this, and you know, like once a week, Mel and I, we go to a different place and see what everybody's eating. And it's really, really funny and fun. And the
Oh,
guy,
thank you. It sounds
Yeah.
perfect for right now. Do
yeah,
have
just
any-
for an hour.
did
Huh?
any of you watch Stanley Tucci on PBS?
Oh, I haven't seen
Yes,
it.
yes, that was fun.
Good.
I just
Yes.
salivated the whole time.
I know that Italian food looks so
Oh,
good. Oh my God. And the
Oh,
perfect
yeah.
tomato.
oh,
I have a question. As we get into warmer weather, if we've all been vaccinated, would people be willing to start meeting outdoors?
I was thinking that, yes, I would.
Yeah, that's a
Yes,
great
yes.
idea.
I would.
As long as we're 6 feet apart.
I
you're
don't
not
know.
gonna move, you're not gonna move to Texas or Mississippi and that areas?
You know, we're inoculated against the virus, but we're not inoculated against the variants.
Yeah, we
And
don't know,
there's-
we don't know what.
And it's,
it is. We
Well,
don't,
and we still wear masks too, so.
Right, well, wear
Yeah.
masks. Exactly.
Yeah.
You wear masks, you sit outside, we're all vaccinated.
But without, I would do it without food or bring your own food.
right, no food. Well, we shouldn't eat there because then you
Okay.
have to take your
Makes
mask
it
down.
easier for the hostess too, if they don't have to worry about that.
You could just bring your own food and your own drink,
And I have a
you know, so if you want to sip it.
There's something to look forward to. We might actually get to be together in the next couple of months.
that would be.
Be
better.
great.
Ladies, I have to go get my mom.
I-
And
Susan,
you have to
Friday?
Hey,
Susan,
a week from Thursday, the 11th, Sharon, you are the sandwich generation.
I know.
I know you
Um,
know. That
but-
was a good sandwich.
Nick Chandler on Friday, Susan?
Oh, yeah. That's what you were asking me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the
Okay.
last one.
Yeah, okay, and then we'll talk about the next session.
Yeah.
Well, wait. Susan, should we do a food chain? What can we do for help to help?
Karen,
What
Oh,
about food?
thank you. I've made a list for George of all the takeout places.